It's just how things go around here, I guess.
Mm.
And
Well,
you've got Alice Springs coming out again, I saw.
yeah, yeah. I've had this odd experience which I've never had before, where someone else said, "Can I pay for the printing of your book?" I mean, yeah. I was like, and I'm so used to arts funding. I know the parameters of arts funding,
Yeah.
but I was like, I've never had a just a benefit. I mean, if people have said, "Oh, can I help with the printing of the book?" and I'd be like, yeah, but it's like it's thousands of dollars to even get like a minimum print run. You don't want to do that. I've had that happen before. You know, they're like wanting to chip in $50 or something, um, which is nice. But this lady was just some wealthy person who lives in Alice Springs and was like, "Oh,
Oh,
should be in print." And I was like, "Oh, really?" I was sort of just resigned to the fact that it was an out of print book, and that's fine by me.
oh wow.
Um, and then I was like, uh, is this going to come back and bite me? Like, who are you? Um, anyway, it was an odd
Did
thing.
you
So,
wind up vetting who she was? Finding out?
uh, a little bit, maybe not thoroughly. I I asked some people, old friends in Alice Springs, about, is
Yeah.
she's on a board for this, like the town of Alice Springs has a new organization. We were trying to like promote community events. And so I was like, who's on the board? Is there any, I don't know, is there any Zionists on the board? Is there any Nazi?
Huh.
But they all just seem like, fairly normal people. So I was like, okay, uh,
How big is Alice Springs?
20, 20 to 25,000 people. And it fluctuates with the seasons because it gets so hot in the desert,
Oh.
in the summer. So people leave in the summer and come back in the
Hmm.
cooler months. And the weather's changing, so it's getting even hotter. Um,
God.
yeah. So, um,
People have second homes there then? Like winter homes?
um, not well. Some people, yes. I think it's one of those places where it's kind of a boom or bust town a little bit. I guess, in 2007, the government introduced this intervention into the Northern Territory, which was one of the sort of Australia's sort of racist sort of uh, government policies, in the hope that
Hmm.
they could win an election using Aboriginal people as kind of a, you know
Oh.
let's get Australia into a bit of a tiz about the Indigenous problem, right in the middle, as in the lead up to an election. And then
Right.
uh, immediately after the election, they just continued that on for like 12 years. And so they pumped heaps of money into the Northern Territory, which is the area where Alice Springs is, and so with that money came a lot of new service delivery people. And so the town swelled a little bit, and I think that money's dried up now, which is probably a good thing. Hard to tell.
Hmm.
But then people leave the town, and so the real estate values go up and down with the whatever's happening politically in the
Hmm.
area, because it's not a place that people necessarily put down long roots because the weather's so intense. So it's a really odd place, but there's lots
Wow.
of odd places like that in Australia, and I'm sure in the States as well. There's,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, your that book shows us just how intense that place is, and many probably other places in Australia, and makes it makes such a powerful narrative about the place being intense in a certain way that I hadn't seen. I mean, I'm sure America has tons of that, but maybe not as connected to indigenous stories, at least that I know of. Where
really?
the story of what happened, quote, here is tied into the land as much as the people who have been there, you know? Like the fact that there's this mountain in Alice Springs, and that there are these myths that have grown up around it, and that certain kinds of behaviors have sort of happened in Alice Springs. I can't think of anything aside from desert towns, probably also in America, where maybe certain kinds of desert landscapes bring out certain kinds of certain kinds of mental breakdowns in people or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you mean the like the notion behind the book, or the psychogeographical element to the book?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it
Oh, which
happens.
reminds me, you were working on Sydney Purgatorio. Are you still?
Um, I mean, yes and no. I think I did a bit of a redraft a couple of years ago, um, and then I published another book, and I guess my life focused on like that book and the release of that book, and that
Yeah,
was last year. And I guess the release of a book takes up a lot of your mental space, but it's not a creative sort of takeover. It's just a promotional, and yeah, it's a slightly miserable brain space. Anyway, but it sort of pushes. You just don't have time to sit down and provide. Put all your executive brain function into the big projects. Oh,
right,
I,
right.
I find that I can't think about you know actual creative things whilst I'm busy touring around trying to promote a book. But so it's sort of been on the back burner again. It's always been sort of all in and then dip completely all out, and then I 6 months to 2 years later, I kind of look at my shelf and go, oh, there's that
There's
that
the,
monolith staring at
yeah.
me. It's like 2001. There's this big obelisk just sort of going, look at me. Um, yeah. So
Oh, I'll have to see more of that. I didn't get the sequel. The sequel to Swallows was called what?
the islands where we left our
Right, right,
ancestors.
right, right. I mean, because of shipping from across the
Oh,
globe.
yeah.
I did. Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't get a copy. I should just order it and bite the bullet and order it.
Those
Um,
two. Yeah.
well,
Send me your
no.
address.
Well, I'll order it, but it's easy. I just sometimes I forget. It's like, oh, you can actually order things from other parts of the world. Um, but it's on your website, right?
Yeah, but
Okay. I'll get the new one.
oh, please, just let me post your book. It's fine.
All right. Well, one way or the other. How many do you have? Yeah, you can spare.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll solve. Yeah. But are you working on another in that line? Did I get that right or did I get that wrong?
No, no.
Okay.
I think I'm. Yeah, so I guess I made Swallows in 2015, and when I made it up, I was like, oh, maybe this could be a series.
Ah,
And then the second book, I guess, it was over 200 pages. It was full color. I think I got all that out of my system, so I
uh-huh.
think it might be the end of that series. So and that's fine. Yeah, I might. I remember Pat Grant saying some years ago that as he was getting older, he realized that how many years he's got left in his sort of
Oh yeah.
in his life. Was this at a comic art workshop? Maybe I don't know if this was something we
I
discussed.
mean, we all come to this conclusion at some point,
Sure. Tell
we
me,
realize that
what's your conclusion about getting older and how much time you spend on a project and which ones you choose to do?
my my conclusion might be tied into um a lot of other factors, largely, to some degree, what's going on in the world, i.e., everything's getting worse.
Uh,
Um, but I'm just I'm working faster and
ah,
on less important ideas. And I'm pretty sure that's the only thing that's going to work right now. Because every time I get a big idea or even a medium idea, um, something inside me rebels and I stop working on it.
who's rebelling inside you? What is that? What are they rebelling against? What's their motivation?
I'm not sure, taking something too seriously, perhaps, or
Uh,
thinking that I'm not sure. I really had to embrace a more improvisatory nature with things. You know that I think you know this. Like I quit comics. I didn't mean to quit comics, but
hmm,
I quit it and started teaching myself music. Whether or not I actually taught myself music, I don't know. Um but the thing was like probably the first 20 or 25 songs I did in a day each.
yeah.
And and every one of them was fun. And I
Yeah.
was like, why is comics so miserable and this is so fun? And and I think part of it is that there like the life spirit wasn't flowing through me, you know? It's because I was such a slave to some idea I had, and so I think I'm finally out from under that a little bit. And I've just been lately I've been collaborating with a friend of mine. I even got to the point where you haven't seen these probably. Here's one. This is issue 5. This is like, did you see these? It's called B is Dying.
I used to read those on, I think your Instagram.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe, but I think only a few of them made it. But so anyway, so they're just little black and white. Let me see if I can find a page I like. Yeah, that one's okay. So they're just black and white, 6 panel grids. And and these were pretty fun because I wouldn't put too much thought into what the 24 pages would be. I'd put a little bit of thought into it. I'd pull just from ideas I had or a little or whatever. And that worked out pretty well. It's like, okay, this is a nice manageable format for me, 24 pages. And so I did 5 of them. This was the last one. And then after that, I remember I think it was Christmas morning or maybe New Year's Day morning or something. But anyway, I woke up like with an idea about the next 7 issues. And I was like so excited. And I was like, oh wow, I get it now. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote it all down. And then after stores opened again, because it was a holiday, I bought myself a new binder and I started, and then I just got so heavy-hearted and I was so, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. And then that's when I started the music. I just said, forget this. I'm not, I don't know what it is that's rebelling, but I don't want to be given the part of me that draws doesn't want to be given instruction by the part of me that writes, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's why I put off Sydney Purgatorio. It's too big. I,
Mm,
I now know, after having done this several times over, that if you decide a novel, you are committing yourself to, I don't know, anywhere between 2 and 10 years of labor. And I
wow.
actually don't really know if I love drawing that much. I just love being the ideas guy.
Yeah.
So exciting. But
I know.
I love having finished a graphic novel. That's a great feeling. But
Yeah. Yeah.
get there is like years of enslavement to an idea that a younger version of myself had this idea, and I'm not that guy anymore.
Right, right.
Maybe I resent that guy. You know, why did he come up with that idea? You know,
Exactly. Screw your revelations at 6 in the morning, or whatever. Um, yeah, that's exactly right. And so that's what I'm trying to find. Oh, so that I was leading to that. So after I quit that, I did music and then with just some random project, I sort of finally taught myself Procreate. After years of attempting it and really hating it, I was like, I hate this. I'm gonna throw it away. But I sort of figured it out. But I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so finally I emailed a friend and I said, her name's Jess. And I said, Jess, I've got no ideas anymore. I've got nothing. Why don't we just like do a comic where I do a couple pages and I send it to you and then you do a couple and you send it to me. And she said, that sounds like a great idea because she's also despondent. So I've been doing that and it's the most fun I've had drawing in a while. Um,
yes, Rollinson. Or,
yeah, Jess Relifson, yeah. I could show you some of that too. I'm really enjoying it a lot. And I've always needed to like, I did comic strips for uh like 2005 to 2008 or something, like 2 or 3 years, and it was mostly daily. And that was the most quote fun I ever had. But there was a certain lack of seriousness that I missed. Like I missed some of the dealing with the heavy themes here. Um, and I've been trying to find some way to do both. I think I'm getting there finally after many, many
cracking the
years. What?
not cracking the code. You should let the rest of us know somehow.
Well, it
Like,
really involves, I mean, the code was in the songwriting. It's like follow the clues and gifts you're given by the music and the melodies and the sounds. Don't think it all up ahead of time. That's the code, at least for me.
something you can do in a day.
Well,
Yeah.
You don't have to be that madcap about it because I now understand that it's okay to let things sit a little bit.
Yeah, oh, sure.
And you guys are mostly improvisational, right? I'm sure you have a lot of structure that you can turn to. No, it's all pre-planned.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the structure's probably embedded in us in some way. It is. So when I play with Natalia, the
Yeah.
my bandmate, she's a classical violinist, but she's also played in punk bands, and she's extremely proficient. Um, she's the kind of person they bring in to sight read at a studio,
Oh,
studio,
wow. Mhm.
or she's the casual person in the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra. So she has to just get in, go straight to rehearsals, and just figure it out on the fly. So
Wow.
she's got that kind of skill and knowledge base just sitting in her bones. She's but and she's got her own sort of interests within the broad world, the broad church of classical music. She's interested in, um, you know, Bach and I always forget the name of that early music. What's it called? It's just this.
What?
It's called early music, and it's got another name. Anyway, but yeah, that's her sort of special interest.
Like
She's
Baroque music?
Baroque. Thank you, thank you. She's in,
Oh.
it's her sort of special interest. She goes off on sort of residencies to do that sort of thing. But then, but with all of that sort of highly structured kind of world of classical music, is a rigidness in the modern sort of version of and Baroque. I think you're allowed to improvise. It's kind of like the Led Zeppelin guitar solo of classical music. You're allowed to kind of break out and do some riffing, and so I think that's why she likes that because it's the least rigid in the modern version of classical music.
Oh.
So when she comes and hangs out with me, and I'm just sort of I quite enjoy being the chaos merchant and making with music and just doing some like I like Bach and I like classical music as well, but I'm not proficient at it. But I like having a stab at it whilst we're playing sort of weird, scratchy noises and then sort of mixing some Bach in there. But that's yeah, I think we're sort of both good enough at our various types of music that when we blend it together, we kind of can see what the other one's doing and then kind of mash the ideas on top of each other. But I mean, we don't have time to rehearse. So, so it all happens on a stage, which is actually really fun because I mean, when I play by myself, I mean, my music room is my piano
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Um, I like improvising. It's all I ever do because I'm not very good at remembering music. But when you play in front of a crowd, you always improvise differently to how you would at home. There's something like the small amount of adrenaline in your system forces you to do different things. And then also I'm playing with someone else often and they force you to do different things. And I think that's the collaboration that you're talking about, say with Jess or something, which gives you much more spark and ideas. And it feels, especially when you hit flow state with each other, it's a great joy. But then it's over and in the moment. And if you haven't recorded it, it's gone. And there's something completely opposite to making a graphic novel about in that
Yeah.
the the vastly different headspaces and
Right. Right.
yeah, it does offer you something else about art. The graphic novel, the grind of a book the size of Rosalie Lightning, can't offer you maybe. But there's so much. Actually, I was just remembering how collagic and playful a lot of the art is, and how
Uh-huh.
and I know that this book is that you made almost 10 years ago. Um, you were trying to work stuff out, but it's so clear and kind of that you are working it out on the page. And I don't know if that's how it actually was in real life, but that's kind of how I think of Tom Hart. I don't know if that's like what am I saying? I don't know how to articulate this. Um, it always feels like you as an artist are, and maybe this is a provocation for you to react against or agree with or not. You're always trying to
I'm gonna move this to the piano.
crack. You're trying to, yeah, I guess you're trying to figure it out how to make the art in a way which is much more obvious, and you're okay with that being present in the final product. than most other artists that I know.
Am I? Was that obvious in? Can you still hear me? I just moved.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
My piano too. Um, was was that obvious? Like I
Well, it's obvious in Rosalie Lightning because it's also almost part of
right.
the visual language is you you're physically drawing in some panels or like the squiggles of Rosalie and you're actually looking at um, I guess process is really clear and you're flicking between different styles and your previous art sort of present in all in one book. It's almost like a book which brings together all aspects of Tom's artistic history, except for music, apparently. But maybe you came to after this
Before
book.
up to
Um,
that point. Well, that's really nice to hear. I mean, yeah, that book I think just forced me to come up with solutions that I hadn't had already. So some of it's uh, some of it's relying on certain old skills, but uh, other parts of it are just trying to come up with new skills on the fly. And yeah, I did have to sort of let that show because sometimes I couldn't figure it out. I'm glad that shows.
well, it's a book about figuring it out, isn't it?
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that comes across. I mean, I think I talked about that in my graphic memoir book. I'm trying to think because I do like I do like art and stories that let the audience in on the struggle to manifest it. I like stuff like that where you see the person struggling on the page, and maybe that's what is in there a little bit. And I'm actually letting that happen a little bit lately too. I've never been good at knowing what it is I want to say ahead of time and then quote saying it right. So like, um, so the opposite of that, leaning into the opposite of that makes a lot more sense to me, which is just show everybody how hard it is, how hard of a time you're having.
Maybe it's like a performance, like you're on stage, and
uh,
like those really entertaining kind of like a juggling act or something where
uh,
it's not perfect. They're building up to the kind of the final bit where they bring in like 10 balls instead of four, and they have to achieve. They build slowly. They do two balls, and they go, oh, two
yeah,
balls. Build up to the, and everyone knows the format. And the best ones are ones where audiences are really rooting for the person because they can see that the person's trying to achieve something that that particular person has never done in front of a crowd. Or something you can
mm,
see the struggle, and like a ball falls, and everyone doesn't care anyway because it's
right,
cabaret. We all know that it's not perfect, and it's kind of fun to see someone kind of try to achieve their personal best. But I've seen that. I mean, maybe we've all seen that performance with the juggling guy like countless times in our lives, but it doesn't ever get old for some reason because it's the individual person's
yeah,
struggle is fun to see, and you want to see them win.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that someone reads a comic to see someone win, but the struggle becomes part of the language of the performance, and it becomes part of why the audience is invested in it. And if the struggle wasn't real, it would just feel like there's less showmanship or less reason for the audience to kind of.
Yeah. Do you feel that people in your audiences, when you're performing with Natalie, are there for that too? Not that like, oh, are they going to hold it together or not? Not like that. But I mean, there's a certain thrill in seeing how dangerous it might be.
I don't know. I don't know. Improvised music. Um, Sometimes it's not always clear to the audience that we're making it up on the spot.
Uh, uh
Maybe that speaks to a certain level of skill, particularly that Natalia has, um, because she can make it look quite polished. But for us, when you watch improvised, I guess, noise music or something, it's much more interesting, I think, for the musicians than it is sometimes for the audience because there is that level of fear of, well, we don't know what we're doing. We're just going to see where it goes, and hopefully we'll have some moments together. But after that, we get to those moments, and it's really wonderful, and then it slowly falls apart, and then we have to find the next moment. And so it's a long
Right.
journey. And sometimes it's clear to the audience that that's occurring, and if they're really focusing on it, it demands a lot more from an audience, I think, because they really have to. I don't know if they have
Yeah.
to know that struggle personally, like they've tried to do improvised music themselves necessarily, but other types of improvised music, it's not always clear to the audience. They just feel like you're just doing some beautiful soundscape or, yeah. I'm not sure how to answer your question,
I
but
don't know what the question was. I think this is all really interesting. There's so much, there's so many things about that you could sort of expand on. Like, I'm thinking about the last improvised noise show I went to, which was a really small room, probably, 12 people in the audience, like really small. And it was a friend of ours, of course. And,
sounds like
and I think most of the people in the audience, maybe there was 15, I think most of the people in the audience had done improvised music at some point, and so could sort of relate to like, oh, this moment is really good, or like things are sort of falling apart right now. I wonder if he's going to pick it up. I think there's an element of that, which is really, and in those moments you just sort of get lost in your thoughts a little bit, and then you're like, oh wait, something's happening, and you come back to it when it gets really alive again or something.
yeah. I like. I mean, I get maybe as you're dipping in and out of different mediums, art forms, whatever the word is. I enjoy comparing and contrasting them, but then I try to sort of go, oh, but how do you replicate that on a page of comics?
Uh-huh.
But then it sort of comes back to doodling on a page. I don't know if you can. Comics are so highly constructed that it seems like a an artificial exercise to try to compare improvised music to comics on a page. But maybe
Right.
there are ways to do it which are just as engaging. Probably not, but I'm not sure. But
Yeah, well, I mean, music and comics are. I mean, music and anything not music is so different because music is so primal and immediate and hits so many of our buttons. But Finn is probably someone to talk to about that. He has a real improvisational way about some of his things. He approaches things really abstractly these days. I don't know how much you're
mm,
following what he's been doing, but
oh yeah, yeah.
but if you come up with a figure on, can you hear my piano? Oh, you can. I think I clicked. I finally clicked the right button. I'll have to go back to the Mellotron later. But
Go back to the knowledge.
oh, that's nasty. Um, but if you find a, I don't know, a little figure at some point when you're improvising, you'll play around with it a little bit, and you'll stick with it, and you'll expand it a little bit, right? And so it's doodling, but it's repeating that doodle, turning that doodle into some sort of entity that can have a narrative attached to it, and
Hmm.
and so I don't get that loose. I wish I could. I think Finn does that actually. Um, that's too abstract for me. It makes me feel wiggly, but I but it's better than the like really like mammoth, even not mammoth, just ideas that I had a while back and forcing myself to do them, quote, do them. I don't know. Sorry, now I'm just gonna play music. Have we started yet?
Oh, I figured we'd started. Are we not started?
No, I know. I can't hear yours either. You were just playing, right?
Oh, really? I don't know
Yeah,
where.
that's okay.
Yeah,
I
I don't know where you find settings for allowing music through.
It's
I
under
feel
audio. And I found it under audio, and then I had to click original sound for musicians, and I had to make sure it was on. So you hear that, right? Um,
like more sound for musicians, was it? Oh, I see. Yes. Echo cancellation, stereo auto. I don't know what all this means.
yeah, me neither.
Music mode, maybe that.
Nope.
I
So
don't know.
weird. That's that's where I was at too. Oh,
Oh, something happened. Original sound from music studio on.
oh, there you
Oh,
go.
there you go. Oh, weird. There you go. I don't know.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh. Anyway,
There's so much.
there's so much.
There's so much
There's so
faster.
much faster. Oh, yeah. I was as I was staring at. Actually, yeah. Let me explain. I was staring at Rosalie Lightning, and I was staring at Hutch Owen, and I was like, I have this sort of, I guess, another provocation for Tom, um, because I think I sometimes think of my ideas, but they get overwhelming, and I'm avoiding this big book, Sydney Purgatorio, because I'm a bit of a maximalist.
Hmm.
I think that's how I think of myself and my way I stack ideas in my brain, and then it becomes too big, and then I'm like, I'm just going to avoid it now. So I've got an inner rebel, just like you. But then I was staring at your, I guess, your final products, and I was like, does Tom? There are a lot of pages where I go, is Tom a minimalist? I mean, I was like, I don't think Tom would think of himself that way, but I wondered what your because you have such a way of distilling down to something which is and I think this is the craft of cartooning which I think you're much more embedded in than I probably ever would and I love your line work but it's so it feels like you've sort of encoded in your hand over the years this kind of great skill at sort of using and particularly character design but which has become so refined at least to my reading of it on the page. Does Tom think of himself in terms of minimalism or those sort of somewhat nebulous concepts about using the least amount of lines to convey the most amount of emotion? Is that are they things that you have thought about while you've been drawing and trying to master your craft?
Um,
Um, And I
before I
brought
answer,
that up only because when you said I was playing fast, but I think when I approach music, I'm also kind of similar, just like get as many notes in as possible, and which can be over the top and a bit overwhelming for the audience, but I'm having a great time. Um,
I, when you
when
made
you
the
made the
setting,
setting,
I think we
I
need to
think we need
echo off or something like that, or maybe because I hear myself really.
yeah
Um,
onto it.
oh, I think it's better now.
Oh, I turned it off. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for asking nice questions like that, I guess. I always did think of myself as a minimalist actually because um yeah, it just seemed like okay, I got my point across. Let's move on. That was and I was always like Charles Schultz and Peanuts was always my favorite thing. It's very, very minimal. Um it's not quite as minimal as like, so long as Leone Brailey's out there, there and there are real minimalists out there. And I think I got shifted away from that because I got into teaching and I realized like, oh, I have to learn a lot more skills. I can't just be a minimalist, and a good minimalist has trimmed things down rather than they're working with everything they got. But I was for, for a long time working with every tool I had, and it still came out as minimalist.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, fascinating.
but so I, um, but I still, but still, definitely the point is always like did the idea make it out? And if so, just move on. And that's whereas other people might continue drawing or hatching or
Mm,
making it look better. Or, I don't know. But I was always like, as few lines as possible because you got another idea to do, even if it's panel two, right? Panel one and panel two. Um, but I've slowed down a little, I think, but I do think I'm a minimalist. But the problem is in my head. Maybe not, but on as what I'm capable of drawing, definitely. So
mm,
that's I would love to write a book like Sydney Purgatorio. Um, and probably I can see myself coming up with similar ideas. Maybe not similar ideas because I'm not that rooted in space, but I mean things where lots of connections are being made, right? Like lots of like really intense intellectual connections are made. Like that's really thrilling. But the idea of drawing it is we need to you're more like Alan Moore. You've got all these like really great uh fully formed connected ideas and you just need an illustrator to stop them.
The illustrator is stupid enough to go with me on it. Foolish enough, maybe.
Off to Dave Gibbons or something. Have you ever seen his Alan Moore's scripts for Watchmen?
Yeah, I have.
They're really
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's insane. Um, it must. I remember reading Eddie Campbell would get the scripts, and it would be like, to, in the panel is a bowl of grapes, from hell, and the page goes on. It's like a full page of writing with like really small font, describing the way the grapes feel to the touch. Campbell would just say to his wife, "Can you just tell me what to draw?" And she would read the entire page and say, "Draw a bowl of grapes," and he'd be like,
I the script. That's amazing.
um, "Yeah, that's yeah." I would. I think I believe too much in artist autonomy to ever write a script quite like that. I think
Yeah.
maybe I enjoy the conversation so much. I'd want to have like a long chat with them about what they want to do. I can't imagine. Not that I've ever written a script for other people to draw, but yeah, I can't imagine being that dictatorial, especially when you've got people like Dave Gibbons or what's the guy from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with the amazing skills? I always
Yeah,
forget his
I forget, to be honest. Uh,
extraordinary. Anyway,
um, yeah, I
we
forget
can,
that.
oh well,
We should
he's
know
amazing.
that.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have read the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen if the art wasn't so amazing. But
Oh, yeah. So wait, what if Sydney Purgatory is not next? What's next?
I'm having a self-imposed fallow year at least. I mean, I'm just working on sort of some other jobs, I guess. I've got an Aboriginal friend of mine, Nanami, who has asked me to draw a map of Lutruwita, which is Tasmania, and it's going to have Palawakani place names. That's the sort of Tasmania has a particular history where there was probably maybe three or to five nations here, but colonial history sort of because it's an island, it's easy to kind of wipe them off the map, which is awful. But there's still, Palawa people living in the Tasmanian sort of broader community, and they're very tightly connected, amongst themselves. But they've had to kind of there's this project which has been going on for about 30 years where they've had to go through all of the colonial texts and trying to piece together as much of the languages that were present here on the island, and they're recreating kind of a unified language out of all of these fragments, and they're calling it Palawakani, which means language of the Palawa, um, and and so it's kind of like, I guess you could think of it almost like a nation building exercise. um, I mean, there's similar projects happening elsewhere on the planet, which are really interesting, but they might have several words for like a particular type of tree, but they still have to choose one of them for this sort of unified language.
Hmm.
Uh, and they're trying to, it's not necessarily open for the public to use. They're trying for their own community to try and learn Palawakani first, but they're, as time goes on, they're, I guess, revealing to the broader public what the place names are, and so I'm doing a wall map of Tasmania. I mean, I love maps, but I've never done a map before. But it's taken me quite a few months because maps are quite technical. But I've sort of put little illustrations on the border with lots of animals and plants and different concepts like fire or sun, moon, things which are important to this particular language. And then we've got the sort of Palawan names for all of those things. It's been a really, yeah, very rich kind of project, but it's not a graphic novel. It's everything seems small after you've done a book. Um, it's only going to take me 6 months to do this. That's nothing.
Right,
Uh,
right.
but and it has to go through sort of several rounds of
Uh,
um, feedback with their community. Always interesting too. So those sort of things. A
is it
couple of projects as well, but
that sounds no, that sounds awesome. Is it a is the language kind of being reimagined or reinvented? Or is it, I mean, is it are
yeah,
is,
I mean the grammar is. I guess the vocabulary is being sort of harvested from lots of historical documents,
ah,
and there is sort of language which is passed down orally. So there is still lots of individual words and maybe phrases which are still known. It's not like everything's coming from the historical documents, but um, kind of reimagined. It's kind of a Esperanto for Tasmania, I guess,
that's
but not made up from nothing.
but the idea is to maybe seed it into the culture a little bit so that
I guess over time,
oh,
yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
so yeah, I guess, and there's an appetite for something, an object like this. So I think it'll probably, once it's finished, I think it'll be quite well received across Tasmania, and probably sell quite well. And because a lot of Indigenous people don't necessarily have a lot of for each individual language group, and in Australia there's like 200 different languages.
mm,
Um, each individual one has a small number of people speaking it, so you can imagine that they don't have a lot of pop culture for that particular language, or sort of you know because if any government funds or funding comes to produce something, they want it to reach more people than just so. Yeah, which might make something like this very specific, but quite um, maybe important. Maybe I don't know.
oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, so stuff like that. Not comics. But yeah, I don't know. I keep wondering about a big book, and sometimes it's hard to kind of start a big book if you know it's going to take you years and years and years. And I don't know. Yeah, we talked about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it started when you mentioned Pat Grant realizing that he's only got so many years on the planet or whatever, right? Did that mean he or you, or does that mean you're resigning yourself to making fewer books or enacting on acting upon fewer ideas, or what does it mean exactly?
I don't know what it means, but it rattles around my head often enough. I'm 45 in a couple of weeks, and
Oh, happy birthday.
oh, thanks. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just a thought that if you're gonna commit yourself to 5 more years, is this a book is this important? Is it not? I don't know. And I guess maybe all the things you've been talking about, like music provokes you to think, like maybe more instant gratification is more important to me right now, but also lots of discussions about Palestine and what's art's role in society. I mean,
Yeah, right,
is it,
sure.
is it all a bit self-absorbed? I don't know. Like those kind of emotions get wrapped up in it when you're thinking about these things.
I think people were meant to uh make art that they share with each other, and I think it's an important part of
Mm,
that's an important part of being alive and being part of the social fabric and all sorts of things like that. So I don't I certainly understand the value. What I'm starting to question is the meaning because I,
right.
both the constant threat of fascism, but also the sort of like uh, flattening of everything through the internet, like sort of makes it feel like nothing matters. Maybe not meaning, but whether or not anything matters. And and even Bach has been reduced to it's just content, and the Beatles are just content. Everything's been reduced to sort of like, well, it's just stuff that comes out of my content box, and
Mm,
so I, at least for me, I've been realizing like, oh, well, okay, I don't have to make something that matters then if nothing matters.
Yeah.
So then maybe I could just make something that's true, at least for a moment.
Maybe the internet's done you a favor. Interesting.
Possible. Yeah, no, well, I don't know.
Is that comfortable, was it?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, for you, like Sydney Purgatorio was like really a book that speaks really seriously to a place, and a place that has an extremely complex history, and you wanted to sort of like
Mm,
unlock that a little bit, right? And to me, there's a lot of meaning there. Um,
maybe.
and potentially for people who exist there or are interested in that. I mean, aside from my memoir, which I don't know how long it'll last, but aside from my memoir, I don't think anything I've done really meant anything. uh, but that doesn't mean they weren't entertaining, or I don't know. I don't know. It's all up in the air, especially because of fascism too. It's just like everything. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have this a Palestinian friend who's a street dancer. He lives here in Tasmania, and he's one of those as probably all street dancers are. I'm not too sure because I don't know a lot about that community, but like they're high energy, and he's a bit of a vortex. So like you get sort of sucked into his sort of world, and it's all very exciting. And I met him before sort of the genocide ramped up, a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years ago. Um, and we did a few art projects, but he's one of those people that's like, "Hey, Josh, can you do this thing?" And I'm like, maybe. When's it due? And he's like, "Tomorrow." And I'd be like, "You have no idea how much work you're asking me to do." And then against your better judgment, you just say yes anyway. And you sort of stay up all night and you do the thing and you send it to him. And he's like, "It's amazing." And then he's sort of doing that to everyone. And I think with those sort of people, they probably assume that all of these things can be done because everyone does them. Um, but he did this to me probably like a year and a half, maybe a year ago. It might have been December 2023, perhaps, or something like that. There was some sort of market happening, and he'd set up with some other friends the Tasmanian Palestinian Advocacy Network, that helped sort of organize protests. And they had a little market stall and they wanted to sort of raise funds. And so he asked me to make a zine for them. And he gave me a deadline of like, I don't know, felt like 12 hours, but it might have been about 48. Um, and so I was like, so I made a zine. It was kind of a comic, but it was kind of like a picture book format. Like I just had one drawing per page and I banged it out really quick. But it was also me, I guess, examining my idea of what I mean, I always think that perfection is the enemy of like getting something done, and so, but then I think the time scale that he gave me and the urgency, I guess, of the topic, really rammed home to me that the perfection is definitely the enemy in this case. Like I need to just get something out, and I just sort of wrote a zine about how my desire for things to always be deep and meaningful and to require sort of pondering time and thinking time. Um, we don't have time, like just
Right.
get the message out. And so I kind of wrote this zine and didn't really think much of it. And um, yeah, it was like, I don't know, 16 pages or something, just a quick one. And I just printed off on my home printer and stapled it and handed him a bunch. And they disappeared real fast. And I realized that, oh my God, I made this thing. It was really fast to make. And finally, I feel like it felt like the most important message
Yeah.
I've ever created. And I was like, oh, I feel like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So how do you take that to your next?
I have no fucking idea.
How do you make that a gift to your future self?
Oh yeah, yeah, my future self. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, most zines I make, I don't think about ever again. But I think about that one almost daily.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Um, maybe that's the gift that I've given to myself. Something more grist to for the mill, something to chew on, and maybe minimalism is the way. I'm not sure. The you get the idea across and move on quickly, which means I probably need to kill that Sydney Purgatorio book because
Or yeah, or find a way to have it handed off to somebody who's for whom I don't know. I'd like to see you do it, but I also want to see you happy.
thank you, Tom.
Um, are we supposed to be talking about Comics Art Workshop or anything like that?
No, I mean I don't know, like a conversation series, really. I guess it'll be, but I mean, we can. It turns 10 years old today. I guess I it, that's when I first met you. I guess 10 years in on an island off Tasmania. But yeah, it's 10th birthday. How old's Saw? That's got to be older. That's got to be like 15 years.
Uh, we opened the doors like January 2012, so 13 years or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But we've never been. I mean, you guys, that first year, you guys had more funding than we've ever had in 13 years. I mean,
yeah,
just from the amount of like shellfish that we ate alone. Uh,
yeah. I mean, Australia's a different landscape for arts funding.
right.
I don't know how to compare the US to Australia. Like it's just a vastly different sort of what you. But you would have been part of that, like in terms of like having at that stage you were probably only 3 years into then, but you'd also had a long history as an educator in New York, hadn't you, prior to that? Yeah, so that would have been part of the grant
For
application,
sure.
demonstrating that this is an educational. But also that first year, I think they had to sort of explain this idea to the government and hadn't existed before. And I don't know really of any other organizations that except for maybe Saw, but the format is different. We're workshopping of long form comic drafts, particularly, and I don't know of any other art form that has a residency that runs for over 10 days for 16 people anywhere on the planet. Like, I mean, there might be some, but and certainly not that's just everyone's equal, like as peers. There's usually
Mhm.
some type of educational, but
Mhm.
once the thing with core is it's once you get there, the master artist who's helps to get the grants from the government because it looks official just becomes part of the peers,
Yeah.
and the hierarchy disappears and everyone's just free forming their feedback. I've been on lots of different residencies now in lots of different art forms, and nothing like that seems to exist that I know of. Probably
I'm about
does.
I'm about to do one that I suspect might be similar, actually. Actually, there's two that I can think of that might be similar. I guess I'll find out as far as the flattening and the pier sort of part of it. But there's one in Canada which I'm gonna be a part of as one of the three instructors in October. It's
Cool.
called Banff, BANFF. I don't know if that's somebody's name or not, but they have all sorts of residencies for writing and for printmaking and things like that. And this will be 19 people plus I think the three instructors.
How long for?
How long? 2 weeks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I get the impression that well, no, I think we're definitely there as mentors and teachers. However, I also get the impression that it's mostly going to be a lot of work time for everybody, including the teachers. Um, so we'll see. And then there's well, in a similar way, there's the one in Florida, Atlantic Center for the Arts. They're
Oh
probably,
yeah.
and that one also is sort of as a sort of leader model. So maybe that's the thing that you're talking about is
Yeah, Pat attended that. Pat Grant attended that, I think,
right.
around 2010 or something when he was working
That's
on
right.
Blue. And I think that, I mean, from my understanding of what he said, that was sort of one of the uh, residencies that he kind of was would provoked him to kind of consider how to build core.
Cool.
So yeah, I think he was there with. I feel like Craig Thompson was there.
I
Maybe
think
maybe
so
they
too.
met T. Bowie and
Right. I think that was 2012 or maybe 2011, but
yeah,
I think
that
2012.
sounds right. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I think Craig came and visited us there in Florida that year.
yeah,
And I forgot. I think you're right. T was there,
yeah. I think that's where they met. Yeah, and then she came to Tasmania.
and everybody cried.
Oh my God, we cried a lot, and I think crying has been a regular feature.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, I ran the residency with Larry Harris in 2022, and man, running residencies is hard. Yeah. I'm naturally a carer. I mean, I work as a nurse, so it's just
Yeah.
my entire history. But um, the desire for everyone to feel safe and to make sure that everyone's sort of can cope with a 12 to 14 to 15 day residency, and yeah, my God, I was so exhausted. I can't believe Pat and Elizabeth, organized sort of three of them, and
Great.
insane. It's insane.
How many did you do? One or two?
I helped with the 2019 one, but it was probably more the 2022 one, which was with O'Leary. Um,
And that's it. And you pass it off to Finn and
Finn and Meg O'Shea did the last one last
oh,
year.
are they doing the next one too?
No, I think we're trying to set up a kind of cascading model so that there's always uh, new directors, because even organizing one is a massive effort. The grant applications are huge, and
Hmm.
but they got so much funding for the last one. Like the first
Really?
one, yeah,
Oh,
they
wow.
did really well. And also, like, my understanding is that the grant applications that Meg O'Shea sent in to the Creative Australia, which is the funding body, the literature section of their funding is like highly competitive, because there's not much else that can offer that kind of amount of money in Australia. So all of the organisations, like writers'
Hmm.
centres across the country, and they're all vying for that same bucket of funds. I think Meg's application was the top one. Like, it was
Wow.
one on their list, in terms of the when they reviewed it. So outstanding for comics generally, I think, um, in Australia and on this side of the planet maybe, because and Emil came over from
Emil Wilson or
Wilson. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, yeah. He's awesome.
yeah.
I forgot that. I think, yeah, that's great. I think he disappeared for a while and I think I figured out that that's where he was.
He was in New South Wales, sort of
It's
sitting
so
with a bunch.
cool.
Yeah,
Um, where was it that time? I know you said New South Wales, but
like south of Sydney, a couple of hours, at a place called oh God, I don't know. And Megan Finn organised it. I don't know.
it's no longer like the adventure tourism that Pat always had.
Yeah, I think that makes it harder. But if different directors, they're gonna try and do whatever works. I think. Yeah, Pat, adventure tourism is, yeah, hard to manage. Yeah,
I just
remote.
remember the glee on his face when he said, "Next year we're going to do it in Indonesia."
Yeah.
You know, he was just he just seemed so gleeful about it. He was just like somehow he had already topped this year's experience and on my island.
Yeah, we learned a lot when we went to Indonesia.
Yeah, what was that?
Um, don't organize a residency that requires a lot of thinking time and space outside of the workshops in the middle of a bustling Southeast Asian city. Uh,
Oh gosh.
the nature model is probably the key.
Mhm.
People have space to digest, and though having said that, not a lot of people necessarily feel comfortable out in nature. There's weirdly, a lot of comics people seem to like their creature comforts. Um, so it is taking people out of their comfort zone to just go to a national park.
Wow.
Not everyone, of course, but like a sizable enough percentage of the people coming. So
I don't know Meg O'Shea. I'll have to
Meg
look,
is Meg
look them up.
is not only an outstanding human, but I think just a natural at using space and time on a page to convey extremely profoundly moving things. Meg's an Australian. She was a Korean adoptee to a sort of a white Australian couple, and has been sort of on a mission to kind of find her birth mother for all of her life, really, I guess. And she's making working on a extremely moving comic, and has been for ages. I think she's been doing lots of short comics about different aspects of trying to find her birth mother, um, and is trying to formulate into a graphic novel, and uses white space, and it makes it look effortless like this, but you can sort of see the constructing of the page to kind of um, manipulate the reader's kind of understanding of what's going on. She's really masterful. Really, don't quite know anyone who constructs a page like Meg. Um,
What?
she has a very wry, sarcastic sense of humor, which sometimes she puts into her comics, but not often. But yeah, she's a very funny human. Yeah.
I'll look.
Yeah, hopefully the book gets made. I'm really, but I feel like I might burst into tears if I was to read it. So yeah,
Is it about her experience looking for her birth mother?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and
which at the moment doesn't have a conclusion, or does it?
yeah. Well, mate, yeah, I'm not sure where Meg's decided the narrative should go, but yeah,
Oh, wow.
it looks, I guess, as the years go by, that might be the case. But I'm not sure. I have to wait and see. I don't want to disturb Meg as she's working on it to find out where does it end.
Right.
But I believe she took it to the last comic art workshop, so I guess there's a whole bunch of people there who've helped her kind of with feedback, but not sure where it's up to. Yeah.
Yeah, the quest that is ultimately unsuccessful, that's a really tough thing to pull off, right? Because yeah, you have to quote, "Oh, I found myself," or whatever, or you can't. It's just hard to pull off, I would think, when searching for this thing that meant so much and I didn't find it.
Mm.
But right, it almost has to be a but there.
Yeah, I did that in my book last year,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
The Unsuccessful Quest.
oh
I was,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I came up with my own answer. I did my butt was
yeah. There has to be a.
I had a butt, yeah, yeah, and it was tricky. I don't know if I was successful, but it satisfied me at least. I don't know if it satisfies readers. Um, yeah, the narratives. I go on a journey with my parents to the Italian island where Dad's family comes from, and Dad's looking for his great grandfather, the grave of his great grandfather, because he
Right.
feels he found that grave site that would mean he's connected to that place. It was kind of like this oversimplified kind of mission that he was on. It was a
Huh.
bit more than that, but and I sort of got a little bit invested in that mission too, but we never found it.
Oh wow.
But but my butt, I guess, was I spent most of the trip sort of drawing and trying to understand place through drawing it and getting to know it and trying to work out my place in it. And in the end, I start drawing all my ancestors, and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
I found my ancestors through kind of getting to know them by because I kind of how I interpret the world. I think even as a kid, just drawing it to try and understand it, or life drawing to understand the curve of a back, or using art as a way of okay, that was my butt. I don't know if that necessarily translated satisfyingly to a reader. I guess I'd have to ask around. People sometimes don't tell you what they really
I,
think.
I'd like to read it. If you have a PDF, send it and then let me order the copy.
Oh no.
I read an early sample, you know,
I just,
um, that I do remember was on a boat with you and your father, I think. You and your father, you and your
Yeah, and
grandfather.
mum.
Yeah.
No, my father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so did your father feel disappointed, or did he
He,
manage to?
yeah, at one point, but I think he moved through that.
Right.
But I don't know if he's moved through it with a but. I think he just sort of moved on to the next thing, I guess.
There's there's yes and there's no but, and then there's well instead
Yeah.
or something like that, right? Huh. No, yeah. Huh. It's interesting. I'm sure somebody's written about the quest trope and
Mm.
the unsuccessful quest trope. I should look into that.
Mm.
Yeah, but you're for you, if the book is about connecting with ancestors, which clearly it was, and your dad is trying to connect in his way, but you managed to show another way of connection, and then that sounds like a really moving thing.
Yeah, I found it good, and I think Dad. There's a bit of old family gossip in the book, which Dad was initially mortified by, but I think he, I think he found the book cathartic in some way as well. So once he read the book, but yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's funny when you make narratives about real people. Um, my dad's also a very private person, so I don't know how he navigates. Now, how I should ask him actually. He's one of those men that you don't know what he's thinking until you just directly ask him, and then suddenly he'll open up about, and this whole universe of thought comes out. But
Oh
I should
wow. Mhm.
probe him on that point. Like, I mean, he's since uncovered like an entire family tree, which goes back like almost 500 years. So, um,
Huh.
yeah, but he's still
Wait.
on the quest of some kind. So,
Yeah. I don't remember. Was it your grandfather or great grandfather that came to Australia?
my grandfather came when he was like 5
Okay.
with my great grandfather.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it would be my great grandfather, the last one to be buried on those islands. Yeah, good memory though. Well done. That's a long time ago. You would have read that.
Well, uh, well, I've read mo yeah, I don't think I still have it. I think a lot of the stuff is at Saw now, which isn't here. I might Swallows actually Leela got a good comics job, and a lot of our comics went to her office. So it's possible Swallows is there.
Leela,
Um,
where's Leela working these days?
oh, at the Rhode Island School of Design. It's
Oh,
it's a very fancy school. In fact, Leela said, make sure I get to say hi to Josh. Should we do that now?
okay. Hi,
Okay.
Leela.
No,
Oh, you're gonna put
here
it.
now. I'll bring you upstairs. Um, yeah, a really nice teaching job. Um,
RISD. Yes.
that that we'll see if the Trump administration doesn't smash that place down. I don't think it's high on their list, but it's well, they're sort of smashing everything they can. Let's go. Find Leela.
President Hulk. Yeah.
Isn't it long? Uh, um, wait. Oh, wait. Hey, Leela, are you here? Here's Josh. You want to say hi to Josh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hold this. Wait.
Hey.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Wait, let me.
Leela.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Actually, I wonder if I could do my hair the same as you. I could probably uh,
Totally.
Oh,
like
look at that.
Super
do a lip.
cute.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been wanting to. I've been wanting to comment on his moon jacket too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
really
that
great.
gold jacket is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely warm. It's winter now in Tasmania, and I'm in the coldest room in the house because we have a guest in my studio. So I thought I need the moon jacket. Um, quite a comical jacket, but it's very warm.
No, it looks great. It really looks good. It's got a kind of a glam rock vibe.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
I'm
think.
not being sarcastic at all. I sound sarcastic
Oh,
and I'm not. Also, you have amazing hair. Like
I'm just mimicking you. Get a How are you? I hear you got a job at RISD teaching fancy comics things.
I'm teaching I'm super fancy now. I'm a full-time professor. It's
Fantastic.
wild. Yeah, I
Awesome.
love it. It's really
Here, hold
fun.
up for a second. Come say
Here.
hi to Molly Rose.
Oh, did Molly Rose just get home? Okay. This is my studio, by the way, that you're in with me. This is what I'm
Oh,
working on right now.
oh wow, big paintings on
Yeah,
canvas.
canvas. Yep, yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, here comes my kid. Uh, how have you
Molly,
been?
I yeah, pretty good. You know, just lifing as I go and as we all just do. I don't know. I think life's been fun. Has life been good for you?
Well, I mean, it's America.
Yeah.
Um, so make of that what you will. Hey, Molly Rose. Um, sorry. At this hour, everybody comes home. Um, yeah, how's life been for us in America, Tom?
Stressful.
Yeah.
Just worrisome. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And Leela, have you has the worrisome stuff I feel like is always and because we're in an interview right now, I feel like I should interview you now. Has
Okay, sure.
the worry I feel like your art has always had the worrisome stuff kicking around in it. How is Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen you for quite a long time, probably since 2016 when I visited America. And so I guess that same time frame has been more fascist and I want to if there's a way to answer and what's my question? How has it infected your art? I guess is my question because you're yeah, it's so present I guess in that kind of friction is always there, at least to my reading of everything I've seen of yours. Is that has it gotten more friction, or I don't know how to phrase the question, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, I'm not, I mean, I have a couple of different answers to that, and one is that I pitched Victory Parade in a time right before all of this stuff started, but when I could kind of hear it and see it starting, and I felt like other people weren't listening.
Right.
And it felt I had this conversation. Actually, I seem to recall some interactions with T Bowie on Facebook too, where we both kind of heard it inside. And I don't want to speak for T at all, just to say I will speculate that maybe because we both have
Yeah.
um, for her directly and personally, and for me familially, experiences with our families having to flee persecution and death,
Yeah.
be refugees. Like we could hear the way people were talking about refugees, and it was very obvious what was coming if people were allowed to keep doing that, which was happening in Australia too. Like I remember the stuff that was going on there in 2015 when we visited.
Yeah.
So when I started working on Victory Parade, I felt like it was here. I'm working on it. Like I'm deep in it now, you know? I don't know how else to explain that. That's very vague.
That's
The
cool.
neighbors also just set off their car alarm, which we have these
I can't.
really raucous neighbors next door with lots of children, and I think they set off the car alarms. Is this a thing in Australia? Do you have car alarms?
We have car alarms, but thankfully where I live, I don't hear them very often. But yeah, I have lived in places.
I've been where you live. It's very calm.
Yes.
Um, so at the time, I remember feeling this real sense of urgency, like this is my anti-fascist activism.
Right.
Now I feel incredibly burnt out and fried, and like I don't know, maybe it's a feeling. This is not a thought I actually have, but I wonder if on some subconscious level I feel like, well, I said it. I can't keep saying it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
showed
Sure.
you.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of in between in there. And then in my current work, oh my God, sorry. Now people are just recreationally honking and screaming. We don't enjoy living next door to this household. It is not good. And I think in your previous life, your previous career, I think you would have had some professional analyses of what's happening next door.
I'm back to that career because I ran out of money. But yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing that again. How's that
Yeah.
going?
It's fine. It's just a job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a mental health nurse yet again. For about the last year and a half, I it was about 4 or 5 years out, and then I just ran out of money. So, and then I
I'm
was, what can I do to monetize? I guess I'll have to go back to nursing.
I have always been impressed that you also do that as well as play music and make art.
I think I probably play music and make art so I can stay sane from my job, but
Makes a lot of sense. Uh, I feel like to go back to just sort of like wrap up your question, I feel like absolutely everything I do is in some way an answer to fascism and oppression, even if it doesn't seem like it is. Like
mm,
depicting depicting people in the way that I do, telling the kind of stories I tell, the songs I write with my band, like all of those things are connected to that. But they're also connected to a lot of other things because they can't have me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's because I know you and I know your work, but even when I see, your wrestling stuff, I think of that as in relation to fascism. Like,
Interesting.
like I mean, maybe that's just like a punk aesthetic. If it's as simple as that, I'm not sure. But like, maybe, yeah, I may be projecting. I don't know, not sure.
No, I think
But
you're right. I mean, in my last book, the wrestling subplot was kind of the character becomes a wrestler as a kind of a trauma coping mechanism.
totally, yeah,
Uh, but also, I mean, I think there's a lot to depicting women as strong and
sure.
God, I mean, that's a whole other bunch of topics about women's bodies and strength versus weakness or skinniness and diet culture and all this other shit. And also just like being a Jewish woman in that
Yeah,
discourse, you know, like don't get me started on hegemonic Christianity. Or do, I don't know.
we have limited time.
Yeah, of course. What, you don't have 3,000 years to talk about this shit? Um, well, if you're interviewing me, am I supposed to interview you back now?
if you
I know
want, sure.
Tom is really your interviewee. Um,
It shifted.
get back here.
Well,
Let's all talk.
it's morning for Josh and
Ow.
late afternoon here. And
It's true.
I didn't hear what he said.
You
We
broke
have
up.
been. Oh, did I? We have been talking a long time, though, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been
But
an
yeah,
hour 20.
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe we'll wrap it up then. I don't know. You're yawning. It's been a long day.
It's getting, I mean, it's not like it's nighttime yet, but definitely like end of the computer time for me, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, in that case,
Well, no, it's not meaning like immediately we have to sign off.
okay, all right. Well, maybe Lily, you can ask. I don't know. Let's just do one question, maybe.
All right. Apologies if these are things that Tom's already asked before, but what are you listening to and reading and looking at these days that's exciting to you and lighting you up?
I've been listening to a lot of Terry Riley
Oh,
Okay.
from, I guess, the East Coast of the United States. He's often touted as one of the minimalists, but I think that's a bit reductive. But he's who is he? I don't know. He's kind of like a mystic, I guess, of American sort of minimalism music. But he's quite old now. I'd say he's in his late 80s, but he's still producing music. And um, it's sort of heady music, but it's also kind of the opposite, I guess, as minimalism often is. It's kind of puts you into kind of a bit of a Zen state. But he does wildly different stuff. He's even got this albums where he's just kind of got like a strange noise music band, or is it funk? I'm not entirely sure. Some sort of jamming of those things together, and it's just got him reciting the narrative to some dreams he's had, and he's got this kind of old man voice, which and it's just like, and then I flew up into the sky, and but I filled with the most exquisite feeling, and then I looked to my left, and my wife was there, and it's just kind of rambling, but like it's just this anyway. He's got such a wide kind of range of music that he's created. Like some is like extremely intellectual, sort of piano kind of music, which just repeats and repeats and repeats, and does this strange thing to your brain. And it's and then other music is just this strange jazz. And anyway, he's got quite a catalog. So I've been listening to a lot of him lately because I feel like he's expanding my brain a bit. Um, so that's been fun. Um, I don't know if I've had the brain space for reading a lot lately, but have I been reading? I've been trying to read a book by a fairly well-known Australian Aboriginal author, but it's one of these big fat ones, and so I think
Mhm.
I read a couple of pages and then kind of get intimidated by the size of it, and I don't think I've committed completely, so I've been avoiding that book. But and I've been watching a TV series called Mo, which comes from I think it's filmed in Houston and
It's great.
extremely moving.
Yeah, I've only seen the first few episodes of season one. It's terrific though. Like I gotta go back to it.
Yeah, it's yeah,
It
yeah, a refugee story, and that horrible sort of uh, Kafka-esque system that they're stuck in. You know,
yeah.
waiting for sort of you know
Our
stats.
our asylum system as of a couple of years ago, which was bad enough, and who the hell
Mm.
knows how bad it is now. Like, yeah, that's it's bad.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
amazing that he was able to get that made and get that story out there, and it's really good. He's great.
yeah. I mean, I don't know much about like how difficult it is to make those kind of stories. Is it amazing to make something like that?
I don't know. I feel like right now, especially, it's really like if you even say the word Palestinian, everybody jumps down your throat, like insisting on the humanity of Palestinian people is tantamount to I don't know. It's like not done. And
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of us pushing back against that in large and small ways, um but I don't know. I mean, I don't work in Hollywood, so I don't know what that's like, to try to get something made. I think it
Yeah, sure.
changes all the time, and I'm glad I'm not in that industry.
Yeah, yeah. Almost impossible to make it now. But yeah, it was pre 2023. I imagine that it was made.
I think so. Although apparently in season two, I mean, season two, I think was made after October 7th, 2023. So
Oh, I'm sort of
I
halfway
think,
through. Okay, I must check that out.
yeah, I
That,
have to get to that too.
that would be impressive. Yeah.
Well, you're making me want to listen to Terry Riley, who's somebody I've been aware of for years, but have never listened to. I have only sort of touched it down a little bit with the New York avant-garde of that time period.
Yeah.
Meredith Monk came to Providence last year, and I took a workshop with her and one of her, like her main kind of person. It was
Mhm.
amazing. That was
Okay.
just the performance also was like stunning. Uh, and also, God, who was the guy who John Cale basically apprenticed with prior to the Velvet Underground? The drone
Mm.
pioneer whose name is escaping me now.
Was it? Oh gosh, I think I can see his face. Yeah, history hasn't necessarily remembered him as much as John Cale. Oh
Well,
gosh, no, I'm not going to come up with his name. Sorry. Yeah.
when you invent an entire genre or co-invent an entire genre of rock and roll, you'll be remembered.
Yeah.
Um, well, I only mention him because he's somebody who, in getting back into the Velvet Underground and watching the documentary about them a few years ago, I finally heard his music for the first time. I was like, oh, this is amazing
Yeah.
to listen to this more. When I was in high school, I interned at this downtown New York City avant-garde music magazine. This was in 1989 or 90, called
Lamont,
Ear. And they were,
Lamont,
they, what's that?
Lamont Young.
Lamont Young. That's it. Thank
Yeah.
you. And in fact, I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. The people who ran this magazine were such dickheads that I just kind of like distanced myself from the entire world that they covered. And I'm only now just kind of like timidly creeping back towards it.
Yeah.
The music you like, Leela, it has a beat.
Sorry for liking structure.
Yeah, yeah, I'll take Glenn Branca over like most of the other stuff in this magazine any day.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Goodness.
Yeah, yeah. I've been listening to Branca a lot lately. planning to listen to a lot more.
I'll write that down. Thank you.
Oh, do you
Okay.
know his music? I think you'd love it if I
Of
read your taste right. So Glenn Branca was a pioneer of the guitar orchestra, and he was the mentor of Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo and a lot of the people who came out of the no wave scene and into the larger kind of post-punk scene in the US. But he would do these amazing performances with like, 30 or 50 or 100
guitar.
guitars and tunings, very noisy.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Oh, one of my regrets is that I never went to see him play, and he died in 2018.
Always see artists. Goodness. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, are you going to go see Talia when she's in town? No pressure, just wondering.
Sure. I think I I might be able to because it's like the day after my birthday, and I was going to go out of town, but she's the 13th. Yeah. I think she's doing like 3 performances inside Mona, and she probably won't leave the museum. So that's it. She's in town. So I will try. I will try and see Talia. I sent her an email to clarify exactly when she would be around, but it sounds like her time here will be hectic. So um,
Yeah, when we were traveling together doing our collaborative thing a couple of months ago, she was like, cartoonists tour very differently from musicians. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, you stay in a place for a day or two.
yeah, yeah.
We play and then we leave. We don't even spend the night in most places.
Yeah, it's true. Last year I had a book come out, and I sort of turned the book into kind of a 1 hour storytelling performance with the visuals up on the screen, and then me and my bandmate Natalia would play the music, and I'd sort of read the story, and it was really fun. It was almost like, I guess you kind of came across as like a one-man show because I was doing all of the voice and I was on the screen because as a cartoon character, a comic character, and I set that up because it was going to make a much more interesting sort of book tour for me rather than going to bookshops or libraries or writers festivals. And though it was involved in a bunch of writers festivals, and there was something clunky about arranging the tour with all of these writer focused organizations. They just didn't get that we needed to get in, set up, do the performance, get out, move on to the next sort of city, and it was really odd, sort of going, oh yeah, I guess these are 2 different kind of worlds, and I'm trying to blend them together, but they don't sort of work together because they just do things very differently. But yeah, that was interesting. Mm.
Yeah, I need to get a copy of that book.
Oh yeah, Tom was saying I'm gonna post it to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Do you have
yeah.
a copy of Victory Parade? If not, I can get you one.
I don't.
Okay, write that
Is
down
it?
too.
That would be. I'd be able to get that here in Australia, I reckon.
I am 90% sure. I think so. Random House Australia probably published it there like they did with the last one. But if you can't find it, let me know.
Okay, I will. I will chase that down. It's on
I'm
my
going
list.
to back to Tom now.
Yeah, sure. I'll. Well,
Oh, he's
okay.
coming, he says. Okay.
Sure. Nice to see you.
Um,
Got to get back to
nice to
profession.
see you too. Happy almost birthday. Our birthdays are like 3 days apart.
Happy almost birthday to you too. When are you? The 9th?
Yep.
Okay.
And you're the 12th?
And the 12th. Yeah. All right.
All right.
All right. See
See
you
you
later.
again.
Oh,
Bye.
Lamont account too.
Well, I wrote that down because we were talking about
Oh.
John Cale and I wanted to
Yeah.
throw out stuff about that.
We've traversed from comics to all sorts of things. It's been fun.
Um, so what have we done? What have we done correctly or wrong on this interview? Because now's our chance to go back and fix things. It's not what I
Is it?
mean.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I don't think we've done anything wrong. You know,
Okay.
these are just interviews.
Yeah, actually, in a way, that was my question. Was like, are these just for posterity? Or are they actually for like grant reporting or something like that, or are they for media, or are they just to keep the community going?
The community, I think. I suspect the Comic Art Workshop as an organization, it doesn't produce content for the outside world to consume, probably much like Saw doesn't, but there's an element to where I guess content does get produced over time, which can be, but it doesn't really. Grant writing, it's often like a scissor reels or sort of kind of a style of which is kind of a particular type of content which is meaningless to the community to grant bodies. Conversations between artists, I think, are kind of like a resource. I mean, I remember I moved to Tasmania in 2008 and I started making my first graphic novel, but I didn't know any other comic artists. And I just used to write to work and stick my earphones in, and on the bicycle ride to work and back home again, I'd listen to this podcast that was made by some people who I now know who were living in Melbourne, and they just had a radio show and where they interviewed local comic artists in Melbourne, and I lived in Tasmania. So, but I listened to this podcast all the time, and I felt like I knew this community, but I'd never met any of them.
Yeah.
Um, and I found that really, really useful. Um, so sometimes I don't know if people consume things the same way. They probably don't, but I just thought maybe these interviews could be a nice thing just to stick on the YouTubes and the socials. And if people wanted to listen to two artists talking whilst they're drawing, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, whether the conversations are meandering or philosophical or just going a bit deeper about particular kind of things that two artists like about each other's work, I don't know. I thought that could be nice. So, and you know, just wanted also to mark 10 years of an arts organization in some way because there's going to be no residency this year. It's for next year. But yeah, I thought perhaps a bit of content being sort of put on the socials might be a nice thing for the broader community. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's
Um, what else you got back there in that room? I see the piano. I see like a little thing that might be a tiny keyboard, or it might even be a harmonium.
oh, sure. I guess I've
Oh
got.
wait. Oh wow. That's an actual synth or a
It's
well,
got
I
a sort
can't
of.
hear it. Yeah, I can't hear it.
Oh, it's not plugged in now. Over over there, this is a reed organ built in the 60s in Italy.
Oh wow. Wow, just like an octave or two, huh?
Yeah, and then it's got like uh, the buttons for the left hand.
Oh
Um,
right. Chords and things. Wow. Cute.
yeah. I do probably been playing this instrument down here probably most of all lately. This is a Moog synthesizer, um, which is pretty wild. Like it does quite a wide range of things. It's a keyboard, and there's like little patch points where you can plug different sort of parameters into other parameters, and
It's like
uh,
when you see Nick Cave and he's got Warren Ellis with him, and Warren Ellis barely is moving, but he's like he's playing this instrument that's about that big, and might be that instrument there. He's
yeah,
just
I mean that's pretty. It's medium sized,
yeah.
2.5 octaves, but it's when you flick some parameters, it goes up octaves and down octaves. So it's
Right,
kind
right,
of like
right. Yeah, I just mean physically small. It's not like he's not like running around the stage with it. He's just kind of like staying put and play.
yeah,
Anyway, but getting really big sounds out of it, you know.
yeah. That's insane that instrument.
Yeah,
Cost me a lot of money, but
it
I
is.
have I've gotten endless hours of enjoyment out of it, and yeah. What's today? Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be doing some music at Mona as part of the big festival, the Winter Festival, which starts tonight. And
Oh
I will
wow.
pick that instrument and tear apart that stage inside the museum. It's going to be fun. I might even, who knows? I'm not sure.
You should wear the jacket, obviously, since it's very well appre you can say they love it in America.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Well, I probably should let you go, but it's been nice to see you, Tom and Leela. And
Yeah, you
I
too, Josh. I
Molly
know.
Rose. Yeah.
They did not want to appear on camera. They came home and told me about some sour candies they had that were more sour than they expected.
All right. Okay. I still remember Molly Rose running around as a 2-year-old on Mariah Island.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
different, of course.
Yeah.
You
All
know,
right. Thanks
I
for
think,
chatting.
yeah. Oh my gosh, this was really great. We'll have to. Thanks for getting up so early to do it.
Oh, no, pleasure. Always.
Um, I'm gonna go to your website and order the new book, but
On.
I might bug you for a PDF. All right.
Okay.
Well, I'll at least email you my address or something, however you want to do it. But Oh, you know what? I should send you. I could send you these. I have five. Like I said, I have five of these. It's funny, actually. Let me tell you a really bad story.
Okay. Bad
Not a
story.
bad. Well, it's just. I mean, hang on.
Bye, Tom.
Right back. Right back.
No,
Um,
you're
I I've actually been really busy, but like in that sort of improvisatory way we were talking about. And like so I also did this book, which I call Fumin,
Oh
but
yeah.
but I and this was really sort of off the cuff. And I don't I'm just trying to work quickly, but also I'm trying to make it mean something, et cetera, et cetera.
Uh-huh.
And it's really strange. Um it's got uh it's got this little character who like his job is to wash these other giant characters. And it's also
That's so cute. Oh my God.
yeah, but it's also got a little bit of violence. And it's and so that's actually where I'm going with this is like is it actually ends with this slightly shocking, slightly cartoony moment of violence. And I wasn't sure where to go next. And then I was like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna print it and then I'll just put it out in the world and then whatever comes next comes next. But I was in such a rush because I'm so quote improvisatory or improvisational that I did the file wrong. And so when it came back, I was missing the last two pages. I won't even show you. So like
Yeah.
that last sort of shocking moment, which was really the kind of the whole purpose of printing it, wasn't in there because I messed up. And so I have this case of like 100 of them, and I'm just gonna throw them away. And like so that was like an experiment in I don't know what it was experiment in, but I learned a hard lesson, which is don't rush things to print, or at least if you do, do it right.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I'm sitting on all this other stuff I haven't printed. So I'm thinking maybe a big book of this unseen stuff someday will come out. But it's all over the place.
It's so funny that the improvisation resulted in an accident at the last second.
I'm really into accidents, except that was one I
My-
am negating. That's one I'm not leaning into or honoring as a hidden intention. I'm saying that one's wrong.
Yeah, totally send me those. I'd love to see them. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Maybe I'll print out the last two pages as they were supposed to exist and sort of just slip it in. But I can send you these two. There are five of those. And there might even be more. I can't remember. Sort of I sort of embraced anonymity
Okay.
lately.
Ah, that sounds like a whole other universe of discussion. Maybe not for today.
No, I'm tired.
Well,
But yeah, for another day, I'm happy to do this some other time for sure. It's really, really, really nice to see you. I can't believe you came all the way to the States and we saw you that one time, and now we have Zoom and
yeah,
there's so many ways to connect. It's wonderful.
yeah. I don't have to fly all the way to the States.
All right.
Right,
Um,
Tom.
yeah, I hate to sign off. All right, we should just sign off. Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Josh. Okay, bye. It's my Zoom, so I get to end it when I say, right? All right. All right, see you later. Wait, and I'll coordinate with you with the recording and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, bye.